Good morning and welcome to the David and David on Real Estate podcast. Today we are in episode number 154. And David Korman, we're going to be discussing one of your favorite topics today. We're going to be talking about artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, all the other fun technology that's out there that I know you're a big fan of.
Well, I think it scares me more than I'm a fan of it. I'm trying to wrap my head around it because it's obviously going to be a big part of our all of our lives going forward, and it's amazing technology. And the issue is, how is it going to be used and used properly, and in various industries. And so I think we'll talk a little about the pros and the cons and the things you have to be careful about it. And but I welcome new technology. I welcome innovation. I think it's great. My concern from a lawyer's point of view is, how it's being used in my own profession, and is it taking away from certain things, and is it being used properly and responsibly? And when it is, I think it could be an absolute great tool. And I think in your business too, I think it's a very natural thing. I know you've incorporated a lot into what you guys are doing. So maybe start with that and go with how you're using it in your brokerage and what you're telling your realtors.
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to talk about that. I think, before we jump into that conversation, I want to make a comment. One of the co-owners of ChatGPT, OpenAI, actually, I saw at a news conference with him a couple of days ago, and he actually said that they're losing money on their premium subscription to ChatGPT. And I thought about that. I said, why would they be losing money? And basically, the basis of the story was that, people are using it too much. So there's too much strain on the infrastructure, on the servers, on the information. There's too much queries going through the server. And I thought about it. Um, I have ChatGPT open on my browser all the time. And I use it, I use it to help me structure emails. I use it for newsletters. I use it for blogs. I literally use ChatGPT as much as I possibly can. And in my experience, I find that you still need to make sure that the input is really thoughtful and you know what you're talking about to get the right output. That's the key. When you know what you're talking about and you have really good idea of the industry, the rules, the regulations, and you can feed or you can input ChatGPT correctly, then what comes out is really great quality information. But if you're solely using ChatGPT as a query and you want to get from 0 to 100 using ChatGPT, it's really difficult to do that because you don't know if the information that you're getting back is accurate, is leading you down the right path, and you don't know what adjustments you have to make sure that the quality of information at the end of the day is really superb. So that's the one hesitation I have. If you have zero knowledge and you're expecting to go from 0 to 100, it's really tough, and I think you're gonna put yourself in a really uncomfortable situation. But if you have really good knowledge and you want ChatGPT to quickly articulate that knowledge, it becomes a lot easier to use it on a daily basis to be able to, just do tasks that you normally do a lot quicker.
Yeah, so I agree with everything you said, and which is why, like, my viewpoint on it is it's a great tool, amazing tool. We all have to learn how to use it properly. But the key to me is using it responsibly. Okay. And like from what you just said, you have to be putting the right input in. You have to be accurate. You have to have that knowledge base and be accurate with the questions you're asking of it and the input that you're putting in. And then it produces something beautiful that you probably think, oh, that's amazing. I couldn't put it together that way and organize it that way. So that's great. But you have to be able to review it critically and responsibly, knowing that it's accurate at the end of the day. but that goes back to your own knowledge base. So you can't allow it to be your knowledge base. You have to do more, I think, than that. You have to have the underlying knowledge. You have to have other resources and making sure they really understand what it's giving back to you. So if you're putting the right information in that's accurate, and then it's producing something beautiful for you, and you can proofread it, and you're confident that it's accurate, then what a fabulous tool. Okay. But you still have to have that underlying knowledge and asking it the right questions, giving it the right input, and being able to proof it yourself and have it critically and say, you know what, that all looks beautiful and everything, but is that really accurate? Is it, maybe I didn't put something in there right. I'm not sure if I got everything right. So you have to be careful with it, is what I'm saying, which is why I'm saying you have to use it really responsibly, whether your industry or my industry. It scares me a lot in my industry, because like for marketing purposes, it's sort of easy, right? It's different when you're providing legal opinions or responding in a legal document, or in a letter taking a legal position that could be challenged and could ultimately be in court. You got to be pretty damn sure that what you're putting out there is really accurate. Okay,
Yeah,
because serious consequences for not doing so.
yeah,
So I'm
and
not saying don't do it, don't use it, but you have to use it responsibly.
there's two other points, David. The other thing is you need to take time and teach ChatGPT, what your style is, right? So you need to go through a process where, you share some of your correspondence and you get ChatGPT to really understand your tonality, how you speak, how you write, how you carry yourself, so that it doesn't sound like it's coming for ChatGPT. People don't want to know that your newsletters and your emails are written by ChatGPT. They want to know that you've responded to them, right? So I think it's really important that you take time and you go through a process where you let ChatGPT get to know you a little bit more, how you write, how you answer, how you structure your sentences, how you speak. And ChatGPT is really good at this. It can really learn, how you write your sentences, how you structure your sentences, how you speak, how you answer your emails, and it can do a really good job of adapting to your style. And I think not enough realtors or users of ChatGPT really take their time to go through that process. But for us, um, it's becoming a daily tool that we utilize. So it's so important that we go through this process and we teach ChatGPT to be more like us, to understand our tonality, to understand our grammar structure, to understand how we speak, so that it can do its job a lot better.
Yeah, look, and that's great. It's amazing that it can actually get to know you, like, which is really something. So, because we all have a certain style that we write in, and you want it to come from you. Like, if you're if your kid was away at a sleepover camp, you want to write him a letter. You want ChatGPT writing a letter, or or you want it to come from you, or you want it to come from from a machine. Like there's a certain point where you might want to run it past them to smooth it out or something, but it's got to sound like it's coming from you in whatever you're doing. From a legal point of view, there's a whole different level when if you're using it as part of your practice. You want to respond to a legal position, and you're going to use ChatGPT. Like it's a tool. We had this conversation last night. I was out with all the lawyers from my firm. We had dinner, so I asked everybody. It was I threw it out on the table. How do you guys use AI? Are you using AI? Because I don't know if I was going to get an admission from anybody that they're using it at all, and how are you using it? But they're from a generation where it was available even as they were going through law school and bar ads and things like that, and in the early days of their practice, they grew up with it. It was already available to them, and so they went through certain rules even in school, like how much you're allowed to use when you're writing things. And one of the lawyers gave an example, because he worked um, at the university as like a teaching assistant, and there was some student that handed in an essay that quoted a legal case that didn't exist,
No way.
that was created by AI. And they looked it up and they couldn't find any, like any citing for it and everything. And so that guy didn't make it through law school and got thrown out. Um, and I was surprised because how can it come up with something like create an actual, like it created a case and that didn't exist. So you got to be really
Yep.
careful,
How
right?
convenient. Oh,
What?
look, I found a case that exactly
And a
matches
case right on
my
point.
style. Oh, that's funny. That's a good point. And that's why I think, cross-checking and having the right inputs and the right prompts and really having a good knowledge of the subject is critical. And I think, that's why you don't want to use it from 0 to get to 100. But if you're using it from 60 to get to 95,
Yes. Yes.
then I think you're in a really good place, right?
Right.
But how can realtors use ChatGPT? So I think I think ChatGPT is fantastic for creating outreach to your clients, newsletters. I think ChatGPT is fantastic to, um, really narrow in your social media marketing. So create social media campaigns, creating content to be put on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn especially. It's fantastic for that. Creating posting schedules. I think if you see a post on LinkedIn or Instagram and you really like it from another agent and you want to modify it to make it sound more like you, I think that's a great resource. And then the other thing, so many realtors spend so much money on Facebook ads and Instagram ads, and not a lot of realtors really use the organic growth. And I think with Chat GDP, there's no excuse to really organically grow your website and your search engine ranking. Um, and then what I would do is I would just create a whole bunch of blog articles and newsletters that you can post on your website with certain keywords of where you want growth. So if you want to say sell more bungalows in Oakville, then start writing using ChatGPT a lot of blogs and articles on Oakville bungalows. And you can spin that 100 different ways, but it's so easy, right? Because you go into ChatGPT and say, hey, I want to write a blog on Oakville bungalows and I want it to be search engine optimized. And, I want to do A, B, and C. And again, it goes back to goal setting and planning, which we spoke about on the previous episode. But, if your goal is to grow a certain uh, keyword search, it's so easy to do that using ChatGPT. As long as you have a plan and you execute, you can put on 50 different articles about Oakville bungalows, and all of a sudden you're gonna rank really high for that keyword because no other agent is really doing this to grow their engine or search sorry their website on the search engine organically. It's so easy to do that. And then the other thing is, there's really no more excuses for not creating regular touch points with any of your clients, right? Um, Emails to your clients, emails to past clients, emails to your database, regular outreach and communication has now become so easy to really do all that outreach that there's really no excuses, and you should be doing this all the time, creating posts, creating social media posts, creating organic articles to rank higher, creating LinkedIn articles. These are things that you have to be doing all the time. And again, it's working on your business and putting in the effort that you can do with the assistance of ChatGPT to really rank higher on your engine and to really have regular communication, regular touch points with all your clients.
So I think all that's fabulous. I'm saying, like, from a marketing point of view, from growing your business, like it's unbelievable tools available to you. And I know in your office, you're available to provide that type of training to your agents and to really help them do that. So I got one question. I'm not sure if you use AI, if someone's actually in the trenches of negotiating a deal and needs a clause and they can't find the clause necessarily in your database of of clauses for agreements purchase and sale, would you use AI to say, have you done that? Have you I need a condition for this, or I need a, have you tried it that way?
I have, because of how much knowledge I have drafting clauses, and I'm very confident that I can give ChatGPT the sort of parameters that it needs to draft the clause properly. But I would caution everybody else that, doesn't have that level of insight into using ChatGPT, because you do need to prompt it properly and make sure that the clause is drafted properly to make sure that, it has all the right points to go into the offer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that's what I worry about. Okay. Because that's when, now it's not a marketing, a paragraph that you're putting out there. It's part of a contract that has consequences, right?
Right.
And that's
Exactly.
where I get concerned about with the use of it. But it might be a great starting point to get the drafting going. But you've got to be confident that you're reviewing that clause with confidence that it's going to act properly, protect the client. And if you're not sure, they're running it by you. They're running it by the lawyer on the file to review that clause to see if it's missing something. Because it might have a whole bunch of really good content, but there might be something in the structure of that paragraph that could potentially get the client in some legal jeopardy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think you got to be very cautious, responsible using it that way. But that will evolve and change, and we'll get more confidence in those, in that use of it as well. But from using it for marketing purposes, like, it's unbelievable. I wish I've got to get more up to speed in how to use it and for our firm and everything from that point of view too.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course, AI is evolving really quickly. There's new models coming out. There's image generators, there's conversational AI, which I've been sort of experimenting with, and it's really exciting. The conversational AI models, like, unbelievable in terms of what they're able to do, and how you can use them in your business to sort of grow your business. Really hard to use it when you're going to the public because of RTC rules and the do not call list. But if you're trying to solicit business to business, the CRTC rules don't apply. So there's on the other company I'm involved with, Real Estate Investment Institute. We're looking at using conversational AI to go after our business clients. And there, of course, there's no rules because CRTC rules don't apply. Any business can solicit any other business, and the do not call list doesn't apply. But very exciting, what you can do, we don't hide the fact that it's conversational AI. We actually say in the call, hey, this is AI calling you. Imagine, if we can do this for our business, if you work with us, imagine where your business is going to go, right?
Right.
But there's some really exciting technology, and if you haven't tried ChatGPT, if you haven't really tried AI, talk to us. We'll show you. We're happy to sort of sit down and show you exactly what it's all about. But so many exciting things happening in terms of technology out there.
Well, that's great. That helps take things to the next level for the to 2025 and beyond.
Yeah, maybe that's going to be a big goal for you this year, is to really start incorporating more AI into your daily business, and helping you take your business to the next level.
Yep. We're definitely going to look at it.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for joining us. We're excited to kick off 2025 with you guys, and join us for the next episode, where we're going to have more amazing information and more topics for discussion with everybody.
Always great being with you, David.
Pleasure's always mine. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.